I'm sorry, I don't think.
I have to start over because I was muted. Sorry. Okay, so welcome everybody. Um, this is the How to Write a STEM Grant webinar. Um, my name is Tomatis Ragumanos. I am the chair of Pre-University Education Coordination Committee, who is responsible for these grants, and we'll be happy to give you information on how to write a good quality STEM grant proposal. Let's move on. Right. First of all, I will tell you a few things about Try Engineering, which is a family of products Pre-University Education Coordination Committee is responsible for, and why we're doing this, etc. What are the goals of today's webinar, and how do we measure impact? And then Donna Schultz is gonna present about how, in detail, the way we evaluate the proposals. And then, of course, we will have a Q&A session. So before we start, I would like to let you watch a video that presents uh, PC's goal and why we're doing these things, and I'll be back.
When I grow up, I would like to be an engineer because I've been wanting to make things that would be helpful. And when I grow up, I think I can make things that would be helpful.
Who can be an engineer?
Anyone. Ready?
Yes, we made it. We made it. We made it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel engaged and interested in what's from their left, and they go really good.
Okay, so as you've seen in the video, what we're trying to do is to bring school-age children into the STEM path, and more precisely into the engineering path. And why do we do that? Because we believe that it's not only beneficial for them, because most probably they will have an elevated way of living, like better wage, better conditions of at their job, etc. But also it will be beneficial for the society, the future society, because uh, those that are becoming engineers develop special set of soft skills, like, for example, being resilient in failure, working under pressure, critical thinking, specific communication skills, etc., etc., and also habits of mind that are really specific for us engineers. We call them engineering habits of mind. Uh, which are gonna be really beneficial for the society. We anticipate that those kids, some of them, will be part of a team that will change the world in the future. Um, to do so, we've got volunteers who are passionate all around the globe into serving uh, those that are working with those kids, in order to help them in every way they can, present about the engineering career path, technical aspects that those that are working with these children might be not very familiar with, or not are not very confident on teaching. So this is where we volunteers get into the loop to help them. And of course, the grants is one of our ways to support those who are working with school age kids. That is why it is in bold there. That is why we this year we have we're giving extra points to those that the grant proposal is aligned with that kind of mission. So in this webinar, we will help you understand what an effective and impactful proposal is, what we expect of the proposals in order to be, to get a higher scoring. Um, remove any. We will try to remove any confusion around the grant constraints to understand, because last year we had a lot of questions from people who didn't understand exactly what is funded, what is not, etc., etc. And of course, hopefully we'll have some time at the end to answer your questions. So let me first tell you a bit about the impact that our grant program has. It so far it's out there for 3 years. We've funded 91 programs so far. That sums up to more than $100,000 awarded, 116 to be more precise, in regions 1, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10. For those of you that are not familiar with the regional structure of IEEE, that's almost the whole world. Like 43 countries were represented. More than 1,000 volunteers were involved. Um, More than 600 parents were engaged, 700 teachers, and about 20,000 students were impacted. And last year we received 260 applications. 43 programs were funded. This year we hope that we have more, and we hope we will be able to fund more applications, more programs. And that's because, apart from our budget, a few other organizational units have contributed a lot. First of all, the IEEE Foundation, Communication Society, Signal Processing Society, Oceanic Engineering Society, and Women in Engineering Affinity Group have donated uh, an amount of money which will be given for grants, to grants. Next slide. So what kind of outreach programs are funded? of course, teacher workshops, which is something that ages back to, I don't know, 2010, if I remember correctly. You all probably remember these workshops, student workshops, uh, uh, STEM camps, industry and tours, career days, programs for parents, mentoring programs, and of course, girls in STEM kind of workshops. So I'll call Donna Schultz to the stage to present a few really interesting cases of STEM grants, and then details on the evaluation rubric and what we expect to be a good quality proposal. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Stamatis. I'm really excited to join you today and get an opportunity to share some amazing programs with you with these spotlights. The first spotlight that we have is an IEEE Ecuador STEM Camp program. And we're just spotlighting the breadth and the depth of these STEM grant programs. This one is for teachers, students, and they designed video games in a series of lessons. And you can see that the reach was 140 students, 12 teachers, 11 volunteers, and they provide camp experiences to children ages 10 to 15. The next one that we're sharing is called the Eureka program. And this one brings STEM to urban and rural high school students in India. Nearly 300 college students engage with thousands of high school students in this program, so quite a bit of breadth. The next one is a special program for girls, and this is a program for over 400 female students. There's 37 teachers, 7 volunteers, and it's a 9-week program for mentoring and advising and teaching. These girls learn about STEM fields where they're inspired by learning about famous female STEM professionals. And you can see that the impact is strong here. 84% of the students indicate that they would want to continue STEM education at the university level. So fabulous program focused on girls. And we're just spotlighting some of the tremendous stories that we have. We highly recommend that as you consider applying for a STEM grant, that you read some more of the stories that have been these STEM grants that have been awarded. Take a look at the 2021, 2022 stories, and then also you can look at the descriptions of the 2023 STEM grants that were awarded. These are all linked, and we'll be sharing this PowerPoint deck with you so you can go ahead and check those out. It's amazing the impact that we have had, and we're looking forward to the impact for 2024, and hope you can join us. So on to the evaluation rubric. It's a bit busy, so again, we're sharing this deck with you so you can read it at your leisure. I won't be reading everything. I'm just sort of spotlighting and highlighting some tips and tricks here for you. You can see the rubric is 6x4. We have a Likert scale, 1 to 4, 1 being below, does not meet, 2 approaching, 3 meets expectations, and the 4th is exceeds the criteria. The categories that we have align with our application. So we have a project, we're evaluating on the project description and background, the project goals and objectives, the timeline and milestones, the program event schedule, the budget, and finally, the evaluation plan. I'm going to go into each one of these in depth. So let's begin with the project description and background. So the application question for this is briefly summarize the proposed project and provide any needed background or history about it. Note that there's a word count of only 500 words, so you need to be mindful of that. We highly recommend that you type all of this into a Google Doc or Word doc so that you can edit, check out the word count, and then you can cut and paste it into the open water application. So you can see here for this one, I'm just going to read the exceeds. You can see the below, I'll share a little bit. The below is all the way down to the project description is completely incomplete. Or the methods provided are inappropriate, all the way to exceed, which states that the project description is extremely clear and well thought out. The materials and methods provided in the description are well organized, student focused, and appropriate for this grant. So what we're going to do is I'll show you examples of actual grants that were awarded, and their background description. We'll kind of talk through it. So you can see here, I won't read all of these in depth because it's quite lengthy, but let me just share this. A clear statement of who you are and your mission is really important in the project description. You can see here this one, which is the Robo Team project, states that it was carried out by volunteers. It's specifically to WIE in Argentina affinity group. And note that they lead with the purpose. Why are they applying for this? What's the purpose of this project? And that's really a critical piece. Note that the other piece of the description gets into studies, background based in verifiable data and or sources is highly advised. So you can see here that they actually looked at research studies, and they link why they're doing what they're doing back to research. More than 50% showed this or that, right? And you can see here 65% of the students are below the line of poverty. So they go back and they're justifying why this project matters through research and sources. So make sure those are added into your background. A little bit more here. This is the biggest piece of your application. This is where the reviewer will gain a quick understanding of what you're trying to do. So history of the program and a strong statement of the project intent is important. You can see here in this example, this is the same example from RoboTeam. They note that the objective is to support the educational and emotional crisis of the underserved population. And then they go on to say how they're going to do that, right? We created this program for this time to reach this number of students, right? And then the next piece, they get a little bit into the history of the project, if there is any, like, what led to this? Was there another project that sort of sparked this, or is this the second iteration? So you definitely want to share if there's some history involved. And the other piece is you'll note that they outline the topics for the students. So they get into the details of what the students will be learning about. And they don't do it very, it's not fully detailed because that'll come along throughout the application, but they mark it here in the description in the background. So you see they have a list of all the things, the topics that the students will be learning. So that's important. The next piece, and it's the last piece of it, is they ended with a strong statement of purpose. So a strong statement of student outcomes and intended audience is also critical here. You can see above that they say projects will provide solutions for social problems in their communities. And then they go on to say they will receive what's going to happen here. They're going to receive mentoring from IEEE volunteers and industry experts. They're going to present their STEM-based ideas and projects. And then the last sentence, it is aimed at children who do not have access to this type of activity. We will select children from underpowering communities from all over in Argentina with the aim of encouraging their curiosity and empowering their self-confidence and change their maker spirit. So again, ending with a strong statement of purpose will be very powerful. You want to tug at the heartstrings, right? What's the purpose of this? Why are we doing this? Who are we trying to help? So to wrap up the project description and background, this project received, this background description received a rating of 4, so they exceeded. And I think you can see why. They were very thorough. They touched upon all the different elements that we asked. So just to summarize this particular, the project description and background, make sure you identify who you are and include the project name. We've seen many descriptions where the project name is not mentioned anywhere. It's not really focused on. They don't really say who they are. Include the background information and sources if you can. Make sure that the reviewers see that you've done research to justify why this is a problem that you're solving. State the project intent and summarize your expected outcomes. We want to see that right up front. You're going to talk about outcomes down below, but make sure you include it almost like an abstract up high. Be concise. Again, you only have 500 word limit, so you want to get all the critical information in there. And make sure you end with a strong statement of purpose that tugs at the heartstrings. So we're moving on to the next category of the application, which is program goals and objectives. The application question states, state project goals and objectives. For example, how many participants will be engaged? What knowledge or skills will the participants be learning? Will participant perceptions or mindsets be changed? Will partnerships be formed? Will your local STEM community grow? Will the underserved gain access to STEM, and etc.? The goals need to be clearly stated, and the objectives need to be SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Again, this category has 500 word count limit, so you've got to be discerning about that. So let's take a look at some examples. Here's an example here. You can see that they say that the goal is to promote the SDGs for youth, specifically technology. And then if you look down, they're very clear about their metrics, right? They include how many people will be served. They actually give me some numbers. So they divided the goals here into external audience intended to impact and the internal IEEE organization audience to be impacted. And then they go on, they have a well-defined goal statement, and they're measurable. So 45 boys and girls, 15 diverse teams, 3 kids in each, 25 volunteers served. You can see they have numbers for us. So these metrics it's attainable, it's measurable. So make sure you're concise and clear here. So let's, this one also received a 4 rating. And I want to mention that for the 4 here, the project goals and objectives are strong, clear, extremely well stated, and include educationally appropriate activities for targeted students and teachers. And so that one, although it was wasn't very long, it was clear and concise and received a 4 rating. So on to the program event schedule. So here's the question for this section. Provide a detailed list, including dates and times, of what the participants will be doing during your program. And I'm going to give you an example in a moment, but let me go ahead and read what the 4 looks like. So we're looking for the applicant to provide a realistic and well-organized program of events, which includes activities, dates, and times. So here are 2 different examples. You can see that on the right, the program event schedule only has days, which is okay because it's extremely detailed. So although they don't have their dates solidified yet at this point in the application process, they obviously have a well thought out agenda. And in the other one, you can see it actually has dates and times. It's clear that it's well thought through, and their agenda is solidified. So making sure your schedule has a defined start and end date, not necessarily a date, but days, like the other one, is great. You absolutely need to have that level of detail. Not having dates and times will not get you the 4. Well-defined tasks, milestones, and activities should be here. So make sure that you try and include all that you can. The more detailed you are, the better here. This is where you want to get extremely detailed. A realistic schedule based on requirements and available resources is something that they'll be looking at. Again, make sure that it's real. We want this to be a real schedule that is well thought through. Again, this one actually received the 4 rating because it was well organized. Both of them received 4 ratings. They were well organized and they provided a beginning and end date and time. All right, on to the budget, which can be sort of the most challenging in some cases. Here's the question. Please include a breakdown of how the funds will be used. Be specific and detailed regarding materials, venue, prizes, marketing, etc. Up to 25% of the budget may be used for refreshments or for participants as a way of motivating participation. So that's something we'll talk about in a minute. Oops, sorry, I want to share for a 4 rating, it says provide a detailed and realistic budget for this project. Let's go on to some examples. So before we get into the examples, I want to be clear with what is not funded. So on our grant page, you can see what we don't fund. It's in the box on the right. There's a full listing there, but I want to highlight a couple of critical things that we've seen in the last 3 years. Grants will support transportation for students, buses to get to a company tour, but we will not fund volunteer travel because one of our categories for STEM outreach is company or industry tours. We will support the transportation for the buses for the students, but we will not fund volunteer travel. Food and beverages, as we said up above in the prior slide, up to 25% of the grant funds may be used for refreshments, and we will calculate it. So make sure that you don't exceed that number. And just to be clear here, no honorariums or scholarships to individuals will be funded. So here are some sample budgets. In all 3 cases, the total budget requested should be crystal clear. And here you can see that they give us the total. It's really important that the total is solidified, ideally in US dollars. So make sure that the total is there so we don't have to calculate it ourselves. Each expenditure should be itemized. So again, we need very detailed budget. It is recommended to include the cost per item or person in the itemization, so that if you're saying that the event is for 500 kids and you're buying X number of Arduinos, we need to know what was the team, how many per team, and how many Arduinos, and all of that. So just be extremely detailed because otherwise, if there's questions, you might not score as high. So don't leave any questions. Be as detailed as possible. And ideally, the number of participants, and if you are working in teams, oh yeah, I already said that, be clear so that we understand the budget breakdown. It's very important. Okay, so all 3 of those, and when you're able to really look through this deck, you can read it more thoroughly. All 3 of those examples did receive 4 ratings. They exceeded. They were itemized, they were detailed, and they provided the total. All right, now the evaluation plan. We're getting close to the end. Here's the application for the evaluation plan section. Provide a plan for assessing the effectiveness of the program. How will you evaluate if you have met your goals and objectives? How will you know if participants learn new skills, gain new knowledge, or changed perceptions? How will you be doing participant or facilitator testing, surveying, and/or debriefing? So for this one, I think this is an area that there's always opportunities. Let me share with you what a 4 looks like. The applicant provides a clear and reasonable descriptor of how progress toward outcomes will be assessed. Here's an example. There's a lot here. This example, you can see it explains that participants will complete a final project to evaluate skills development. It says here that skills development will be assessed through evaluation of students' ability to complete the final project, the building and driving of a robotic car with limited help from volunteers. So we know here that they're going to be building a car and they're going to be evaluated on, did they complete this? Did they build the car? They're assessing the skills there. The next one is mindset will be evaluated by surveying the students' interests. So you can see here it says that they'll collect surveys, including student interest in the program and science and engineering field in general. They also notice, they also get into parent feedback, which is fantastic. So notice that parent feedback is also collected and considered in measuring the progress. So you can see, if I go back to the paragraph here, it says parent feedback on students' gains in skill and knowledge will be measured as well. So not only are they going to be evaluating, getting surveys from students about their interest in the STEM profession, engineering and science, but they're also going to get parent feedback, which is fantastic. Notice that the overall success of the program will include metrics on growth of the program by an increase of student enrollment, and student engagement will be measured through regular attendance. So that last paragraph says that they're going to consider enrollment a metric through attendance. So again, they're very clear. They get into the area of mindset, which we really want to see. We want to make sure that students' interest in STEM is addressed. So let's go to the next section. I want to just share this because often when we do STEM outreach programming, we focus on the outputs, on the number of participants, volunteer students, and we say, oh, we exceeded our enrollment in the program, right? So it was a great success. But success, that's only one piece of the success story, right? The other piece, and I would argue the more important piece, is outcomes. So we want to know program outcomes. It's short-term, intermediate, or long-term effects on the audience. And so this is about students gaining new knowledge, attitudes, interest, even changed behavior as well. So that's what we really want to get to, is were you able to do that? And the way to find that out is typically through surveys. You saw on the other one, they were evaluating a project where skills were being evaluated. So that's a really important piece. We want to make sure that you do outcomes plus outputs. Don't forget the outcomes. So the example that I share with you was a 4 rating. So that one had a very reasonable descriptor about how the progress toward outcomes was to be addressed. It told us that they were going to do surveys of the students and the parents, and they were going to be evaluating the project. So this is a really important piece. Don't forget to do both outputs and outcomes. Final reminders: before entering your information into the submission tool, have your information ready. A recommended approach, which I stated early on, is to write out your answers into a Word or a Google Doc and then cut and paste it. You can check in Word or Google. You can check the word count to make sure you haven't exceeded it. In some cases last year, we saw that people didn't check the word count and their paragraphs were cut off. So we didn't see the full, we didn't see what they had intended. So you need to do that work before you cut and paste it. So again, don't exceed those word limits, provide concise statements. Whenever possible, provide details. I cannot stress that if there's a question that a reviewer has, it typically means that there's a lack of understanding or there's something that so provide as much detail as possible. You can't go wrong here. More detail. Concise though, because you can't exceed the word limit. So details might include examples, metrics, and verifiable background and sources. And again, metrics are especially important in the goals criteria, so make sure that they're there. Ensure your timetable is realistic and has a clear start, end, and the key tasks and milestones are noted. If you haven't really thought it through, and it looks like it might be sort of fictitious or not realistic, it won't score as well. So make sure it's really what you're planning to do. Your budget must include the itemizations of expenses. Make sure you have that total there. And again, be as detailed as possible. Note the number of the size of the teams and the breakdown for each item. And your evaluation plan must include details on what you are measuring and how you will obtain that data. So if you tell us that you're going to measure student interest in something, we need to know how you're going to do that. Are you going to do it through survey or interview? You know, how are you going to implement that? And just, you know, keep asking yourself, how will we know if we are successful in this project? And then make sure you add that into that evaluation section. With that, I think we finished it and we're ready for Q&A. Let me take a look. Oh, if you haven't written into the chat yet, make sure you write some questions into the chat for us.
Then I've seen a couple of questions about if they're gonna have access to the slides, if there's gonna be, if the presentation is recorded and that kind of stuff.
Yes, so you will have access to the slides. And you will, and it is recorded. So we'll make sure that we share that with you. Yeah, we will make sure we share that with you all.
Isn't it also published in the grants page where they?
Yeah, actually, that is right. You're right, Stamatis. Yeah, so we can maybe that's where we can share the video recording as well. So we have the deck over there, and we'll make sure we put it. Maybe we'll highlight it or something so that you know that where exactly it is, down at the bottom of the page. Yeah, good point.
So another question that I see twice, at least twice, is if someone outside the US can apply for a grant, and of course, as long as they're IEEE members, right?
Somebody was just asking if there's, can more than one person apply from the same institution? Sure. If you're both members and you have different STEM outreach programs, absolutely, yep. Yeah, the way that the awarding goes is we award based on the score. Each project is evaluated by 3 reviewers, and it gets a score based on that evaluation rubric that we shared, and the top scores win.
Also, Juan, I guess Juan is the way it's pronounced, asks if he can host a world-class event like World Robotic Olympiad through the IEEE Tri-Engineering Grant Program. First of all, if you get the grant, you have to use our branding. If that's okay with the World Robotics Olympiad, that's okay. And of course, the budget is up to $2,000. So I don't know if it's enough, but of course you can apply for something like that and have it co-funded, as long as you make sure that our branding is there. A lot of new questions.
Okay. Yeah, I see one about, let's see here. Is it possible to get funded for STEM programs, which include development of lab in collaboration with the non? So that was one of the things we don't fund any construction or building of anything. That's part of our on the budget, the not funded list. I'm not sure. Did I answer that, Stamatis?
I guess so. There's an interesting one. Can a STEM champion apply for grant and also act as a reviewer? No. You either apply for a grant or act as a reviewer.
Yeah, that's a great question, because we take that really seriously. We don't have anybody who's applied for a grant has to step away from the review team. So great question. I see another one about, let's see here. I thought I saw any advice regarding deciding the budget category to apply to aside from the actual expenses. I'm trying to think of what that might mean.
Apart from the fact that those that are applying for the up to 500 category have more chances because we are giving
Okay,
a
yeah.
specific amount of money for each category, so those that are requesting for less money have more chances. Apart from that, I don't think I cannot think of something different.
Yeah, great question. When will the IEEE champion program be available for 2024? The application, I'm just hearing, application will launch in March.
Mhm. There's another one that is interesting. Is it possible to get funds from STEM program, which includes development of a lab in collaboration with a nonprofit school organization? An idea?
Oh, I already answered that. I think that we in our budget section, we don't fund any type of construction at all. So, like if they mean like physical building of a lab, it's a no.
I guess what he's asking for is like the instruments and that kind of stuff. I guess. I mean, it's the building should be already there. Uh, I d- I think it's out of our scope, to be honest.
Right. Do we have to conduct activities in the region where we are a member from? So the assumption is yes, but I'm trying to think of a scenario. If you're a member and you're I'm thinking it would, Stamatis, I'm thinking it would be okay, right? As long as they're a member.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking as long as you're a member and I could see scenarios where you're in a location for a short season, for a job or for school or something. So yeah, I think that would be fine, right?
I guess that is relevant to the reimbursement process, and as long as it is done through Concur
Concur,
and not
yeah,
through the section, that's okay.
yeah, yeah. Somebody's asking, do you have to be an IEEE member to apply? Yes, you do.
What is the range of individual grant award amounts? The three categories: up to 500, 500 to 1,000, and 1,000 to 2,000. But we're giving a fixed amount per category, so you can imagine that more $500 grants will be awarded, less than those of up to 2,000.
I see a question about collaboration. Can applicants from different institutions? Yes, as long as everybody's as long as yes, absolutely. We want collaboration and partnerships. I think that's fantastic. So the applicants need to be IEEE members. That's the only constraint there. Somebody was asking about in regard to the budget, like no, we don't fund construction or building of something, but STEM kits and program related stuff is the question. Yes, we do. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So in order to deliver a program for, say, a student workshop, you need to buy the materials. So yes. Yep. I see somebody says, can the event be done in collaboration with the globally recognized STEM brand? Yes. Yep. Oh, there was another one. Hold on.
Yeah, as long as our branding is there. I mean, we're not funding programs that are not branded out under Try Engineering.
Right, and we actually, for those who get awarded, we send out a whole branding packet and requirements around how you recognize IEEE in that we were the funder for the program. So yeah, there was. Okay, I see it. Here's another one. STEM champions need to conduct 2 programs, right? STEM champions belong to the same institute, can do 1 program together? Yes, the answer is yes to both. Yep.
Do the presence or collaboration of IEEE is mandatory to be eligible? No, as long as the person that is applying for a grant is an IEEE member. So you
And mhm.
go ahead.
I was just going to say the funding, the way that if you were awarded the funding, we have 2 pathways. One, and sort of the main pathway is through the sections. So the money would be dispersed to your section to then you, to the, however they want to reimburse you or however it would work. The other way is we have wire transfers that can happen as well, either to a section or to an institution. And then we have the third way, which is which Stamatis was alluding to, the concur option. So you would lay out the money for the program, and then you would get reimbursed through our IEEE concur process.
If someone is applying for funding to continue a program which was originally started with CAMSOC, is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We I also want to mention, so the one great thing about our STEM grants is we seed new initiatives. We if you're applying to maintain or expand or grow a prior initiative, we support that as well. We support scaling, but we also support seeding. So, and I wanted to mention that for our STEM partners that Stamatis went through, we're really excited to have a few new ones. And if your project aligns to their criteria, so we have ComSoc is one of our first sponsor, and so they're around communications engineering topics. Then we also have WIE. So if you're targeting girls in engineering, then you probably want to check that box. We have signal processing. SPS is a new sponsor this year. We're excited to have them. And so you can see their list of topics, but around the signal processing area. We have Oceanic Society. We're really excited. So any topic around ocean engineering. I think I got them all. So so in your application, if you align with one of those, check one of those boxes, because I think that gives you, I don't know if it's more opportunity because you're still in the same pool as everyone else, but I think it's make sure that you check those boxes if you do align.
What I want to point out is that this year we've added a question in the grant application, and it has to do about the sustainability of your program. I mean, we are asking you to tell us how are you gonna get it funded throughout the years. So have in mind that if it's not a seed funding, it's program that's already happening for a few years, you have to justify why you still need money from us. So, because the goal is to create programs that are viable, not just for a year.
There's another one around, it says, if we have an approved grant from a technical chapter, can we do the work together? So you would be applying for more funding. I think Stamatis really answered that in his prior answer, that if you would need to justify why you need more funding in order to implement the technical chapter grant that you received. So it would be are you already trying to expand it, scale it,
And
some other element?
there's something that we've been seeing in our last round of proposals. At the budget, when at the question about the budget, usually people were writing down the total budget with those from other sources included. We don't need that. It's nice for us to know that you're also getting money from another source, but the we're requesting the total budget that you're requesting from us, and it's up to $2,000. So proposals that request more than that have less chances to get any funding. So be aware that you need to be precise of what you're asking us to give you.
Right.
And of course, the branding. It's even if you're, because we're insisting, because we've seen, sometimes that there is an issue with the branding. That, other funding sources, want to be the only want to, have only their own brand, etc. So be aware that we are requesting you to have, a try engineering brand logo in your website or at your banners or wherever material you're using. So you have to make sure that the other part is okay with that.
As I'm looking through making sure we caught all the questions, I saw a great comment from Connie. She says, never assume that the reviewers will know about you and or your program. Always be as specific as possible. Applications should stand on their own. Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Connie.
Yeah, to be honest, I want to share my experience as a judge. I never look at the names. So in order to be fair and not being biased, even in my subconscious, I never look at the names when I'm scoring an application. So don't assume that the name means something. Many of the judges don't even look at the name.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't have any background information, and we have over 20 judges. This year might inch up to 30, because we do feel that to provide a quality review, we need a minimum of 3 judges on every application. So we feel strongly about that. So, and again, we remove anybody that has any association with any of the grants. We ask anybody to just remove themselves. And so we've had people do that in the past, and it's worked out really great. So I think that's the end of the questions. Yep.
Great. We hope that it was helpful to you, this webinar. Of course, you can contact us anytime if you have any questions. The page that is published about the grant application has also a lot of information on, it has the rubric there. You can find it there. It has examples of successful grant proposals. So be aware that you can find more info there. Where are the contacts is another question. Should we write the emails to the chat window, Dana?
Sure. Yep, I can put mine in there.
Mhm.
Yep, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Stamatis. We would be happy to answer any questions you have, so don't hesitate. The application window is open through all of January, so you have some time to think and hopefully get that in. I think it ends January 31st. So we look forward to seeing your applications. Thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I think we can call it a day, right?
I think so.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. We're waiting for your proposals.
Yes, we can't wait. Thanks so much. Take good care. Happy holidays to everyone. Bye-bye.
Happy holiday.